Hey, it's Tim.
And it's Amy from GoWithLess. We're so glad you're here with us today. In this week's video, it's kind of a part 2 from last week's video. So hopefully you watched last week's video all about my surgery saga, and we're going to be following up with kind of the practical of what does this mean to our life, and why didn't we just stay put in Texas when we took a road trip to Maryland in the middle of all of this healing? So we're answering a lot of those kind of questions in today's video. If you haven't seen last week's video, I'm going to link it right at the top of the video description below, so make sure you check that out.
Every Wednesday here on our channel, we come out with a new video, typically talking about our early retirement or our nomadic lifestyle. In 2015, we left our careers in our late 40s and retired early. And in January of 2020, we sold our home and became full-time nomads.
So even though we're talking about difficult medical stuff today, we still hope you'll give us a thumbs up, subscribe over here, because we're going to be talking about a little bit of the money in this week's video. But next week is our March spending recap. We're going to talk about the money a lot next week. So definitely make sure that you subscribe if this is something that you're interested in. So we are in our 15 months of being nomads, and we're still here in the United States, but we are in Maryland on a dog sit, and we are here for 7 more weeks at least. We may have been extended a teeny bit.
Yeah, and this is a fantastic situation, but we still feel like we're sort of stalled, and we'll dig into this a little bit in our video, in that we're not moving forward with our nomadic life, primarily because of COVID, or exclusively because of COVID, I guess I should say. And so we are very much looking forward to getting on the road. And so before we actually launch into this week's conversation, I think Amy has some things to say about sort of her healing process and where she is. And so you want to tell us about that?
Tim's been a great caretaker, and we are very appreciative of all your well wishes. People have said, like, it's great that you are all recovered. I am so far from all recovered. It's like maybe 90% of my day is just relaxing and napping and resting, because I did have really major surgery. In last week's video, I said I was expected to have 4 organs out. Turns out they took a 5th one, most of a 5th one, while I was under. So going to be a while to heal up from all of that. And we had our first viewer meetup in this area, in the Maryland to DC area, yesterday with one man, and that was only 2 hours over lunch. It exhausted me so much I had to come home and take a nap the entire day.
I think also Amy's healing process is a little exhausting for me, because we share the workload of just making our household work. So I'm taking on a little bit more cooking, which Amy tends to do, a little more cleaning, some of that Amy's involved with. So a lot of the things that we typically do together are falling more exclusively to me. So she's still, which is, I'm happy to do it. It's just, I think we're both worn out, sort of.
We are. So healing is hard work, but I am taking it very seriously. And we are meeting a lot of viewers, but just shorter. We're not doing hiking or even walking. Even just sitting is a big deal for like an hour or 2. Okay, so let's start talking. Of course, this subject is going to come up. Do we want a home? So we have been kind of grounded here in this situation. We're very fortunate that we're in a long-term house sit of 9 weeks, but let's talk about this. Is this the thing that really tilts us and now gets us to wanting a home?
No. So we
You knew that was coming. Did you know this? I knew it was coming.
So as a matter of fact, I think it's, just to cut to the chase, it's I think this sort of pushes us forward more than anything. So anytime we have these issues, COVID makes us want to get out and do things more so than, so our life is, when it's safe. So our life has been on stall for a while in terms of what we really want to be doing. And I think that when we have events that, again, stall our life, I think it makes us want to just get out and be doing the things that we want to do more than ever. And so I guess that's the primary reason that drives no. But I think even if we weren't living a nomadic lifestyle, I don't know that, like I mentioned before, last week we talked about some of the events that I had when we were traveling or when I was on a work trip. So those things also didn't make me never want to get on a plane again. It's just, it's part of life. And so living through these things, to me, it's like it emphasizes how short our life is, and how if you are, there could be illnesses that sort of tie us down and make us where we can't travel. So I want to travel. We want to travel more than ever. So our nomadic plans, I'm ready to get going. And I think we both are.
And just a little note, both of us have had our first vaccine of coronavirus. So we will be fully vaccinated in mid-May, really ready to go. Really ready to go. Absolutely. Now, a little bit more about this, do we want a home? The way that we look at it, so I'm 52, he's 54. before, we don't have enough life left to want to do all the things that we want to do. So we want to travel all over the world. We want to do it very slowly. We want to go back to a lot of places. So we don't have enough time left. COVID just robbed us of basically at least a year. We're still kind of in a holding pattern for a little bit longer. So we're like really more ready to go than ever, as Tim mentioned. And if we did have a home, the way we really look at it is it would either be the world's most expensive storage unit because it would be only populated for a month by us every year and empty for 330 days, or it would be a real estate investment and somebody else would be in it for a year. So we would either have it empty for 11 months or rented. Either one of these situations is far from ideal. So if we needed to be staying put, what we would do if we didn't have a committed plan like we did in fact have, we would probably just do like a rent. We would rent something furnished as long as we needed to.
Yeah, and that would be if we were trying to deal with an issue that was chronic or we had something that required constant care. If we had cancer, if something awful happened that sort of made it so that we needed to be visiting with a doctor every week or every month for a longer period of time.
Maybe like physical therapy, maybe
physical therapy.
Ongoing physical therapy.
We would have a short-term settle down, but I don't think we would be investing in real estate wherever we happen to be having that care.
Yeah, okay. Now, the second thing is the money part of it. We spend about $36,000 a year. And if you're brand new here, this is not something that if we spend over that, we don't have to go back to work. We spend less than we can because we like a little buffer. And here's a really good reason of why to have a buffer. So the cost of just my surgery it's going to come out to about $8,000 or $9,000 for the year, about $8,000 or $9,000. We don't know yet because the bills aren't all in. So 25% of an unexpected expense is going to be really hard. We already had a we're not looking to have like the world's cheapest retirement. Otherwise we could make it cheaper. We want to have the world's best retirement while considering cost. So we are thinking that this is going to derail our $36,000 plan, and we're going to get into that next week, right?
Yeah, we're pretty confident it will derail our $36,000.
The wheels will come off.
Oh, that's right. My Texan comes out sometimes, but anyway, and at the end of the day, we've had this conversation. Our biggest concern. So I don't want to have $9,000 worth of medical bills, so don't take that away from this conversation. However, it's just not a big deal in the scheme of things for us that we have to spend $9,000 on our medical care, and that we go over, even if we spend $36K and then go over another $9K just because that's what happens this year. No big deal in the scheme of things. I think our biggest concern about this obviously was getting healthy on the other side of this, and then our second biggest concern is what credit card are we going to sign up for where we can put all the spend on so that we can earn points and miles with the spend. But nonetheless, it's all in all, the money for us, we don't like it, but it's not a big deal.
And the funny thing is friends and family will say, I know you guys are really frugal, so that's really going to hurt. And the reality is it isn't. And no one's going to want a bill of $9,000, and no one wants to have surgery for a medical reason, but it really isn't a problem, and that's really great, and that's why we spend much less than we don't work the 3.5-4% rule. That is why we aren't at our 3.5%.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I'm going to reiterate this in that this is all because we have a buffer, not because of anything else, not because we're fabulously wealthy. This is just because we have a buffer in our spending model, and we sort of plan for these sinking fund sort of scenarios. And so 9K in the scheme of things, if this happened year over year over year over year, we certainly that would be something that might impact us. But having this, maybe not. I guess if it's 40 or 50,000. Anyway, it's certainly something that we don't want to have on a recurring basis, but we have the room for it.
And I'm going to throw in a third reason why this stinks is because we're going to have to talk about this a little bit every single month for 8 more months when it comes to our spending conversation. So we're all going to get really bored of this topic, and I'm sorry, but the fact that it happened in March, we're going to be talking about it through January. So sorry for that right away. Okay. Now, here's a very reasonable question. Why on earth did you still go to your house sit? We drove from San Antonio to basically Washington, D.C. over 4 long days. It took 28 hours in the car. It was a week and a day after surgery that we packed up and got in the car, and that was a lot. Why didn't we just cancel the sit? Surely she would understand.
Yeah, so the reason we didn't cancel the sit is because we have a commitment level that I think sometimes is a little crazy. So I think this comes from sort of, I don't know, our corporate working days, but when when we are committed to do something, we're going to deliver. Also, the situation here, we would have left, the homeowner is traveling for business, and she is away for a long period of time. She's going to an educational thing, and she's there for 9 weeks. So she is, and it's a very big thing for her. This is the first time she's had a house sitter in her home. So we would have left her with about a week to find somebody to replace us. And that would have put her in a huge bind, and we just weren't comfortable with doing that. And so we also didn't think that getting here was going to be, we had to drive for several days. We went ahead and canceled the front end. We'd had some sort of vacation-y stuff planned before here. We canceled that, so Amy had some more time to recover. And based upon what our doctor had told us, it wouldn't be a big deal for Amy to be in the car for 3 days. As it turned out, we think it was a bigger deal than what he made it out to be.
A much bigger deal.
But nonetheless, I think it was just sorting through all the things. It just seemed like it was the right thing to do, to go ahead and make this move from Texas to Maryland, and now we're here, and
we're happy to be here.
We're happy to be here.
And now we're just working on healing. We've been house sitting now for 6 years, and the only reason we've ever canceled a house sit is because of travel restrictions due to COVID. COVID is the only reason we've ever canceled a sit. Again, we're not canceling, so just give some idea of our level of commitment, I guess.
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
really crazy.
I think this also has us rethinking a little bit how much house sitting factors into our overall scheme in terms of lodging, and so primarily because of us. And so it's just this having these committed things on our calendar when we treasure our flexibility so much. It limits our flexibility. When we are committed to be in Maryland and it's 2 months down the road or whatever, that makes it so that we can't decide to stay in Texas, or at least not thinking the way that we think. We can't decide to stay in Texas because we need to be there for a little longer. So those sort of scenarios are making us rethink our house sitting a little bit. So we love many things about house sitting, but it certainly does sort of limit our flexibility.
And here's the thing, is there is a full-time, like early retired community, and there is a full-time house sitter community who house sits around the world, usually full-time without a home. And they are actually quite different communities. So the house sitting community seems, we have a lot of friends in this community, and many of our full-time house sitting friends love the idea of a full year plus booked out far in advance with firm plans. Now, we used to be there. We were there over a year ago. I think what Tim said, like we're really thinking about what does this mean for house sitting in our life? And I think what we'll do is not plan out so far, except for maybe like 1 or 2 things out far. So we don't need to have the whole year planned out. We don't want to know exactly where we'll be, when, but to maybe for the real primo fabulous things that are like really unique opportunities, right, or just like something that makes sense to pin us down and to limit our flexibility, just to realize that when we commit to a sit that is in the future, we are limiting our flexibility. So we want to do it for something that's really dynamite.
That's right. So if anybody wants us in their Paris penthouse in the summer of 2023 for 2 months, we're there.
With air conditioning.
With air conditioning.
I don't know. Are we in Paris in the summer? I don't know about that. Hot. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this healthcare hub idea we have. So we reestablished new doctors in the Austin area. That's where our insurance is now in Texas. So we have all kinds of doctors in Austin. But we plan to be slow traveling around the world for a long time. So what we're thinking is in South America, in Southeast Asia, in maybe Eastern Europe or Europe in general, finding a general practitioner and a dentist in each one of these locations, like the dentist and general practitioner, maybe in the same place, like a Bangkok, for example, and maybe a Lisbon, and maybe a Quito, for something like that. So something that makes sense.
As we made the move to Texas and we're on an HCA plan in Texas, we have to establish a whole new set of doctors in Texas. And so as we go through this process, if let's just say we went to our first primary care physician appointment and we don't like this person for whatever reason, or they're just not a right fit for us, or we're not a right fit for them, then we're going to have to go and look for another doctor. So there's no guarantee that the first person you have a conversation with is going to be the right fit for you. And so I think that sort of drove my thinking about it would be nice to have these regional people that we would have a sort of a known quantity, where if we have an issue and we are in Asia, we don't have to fly back to the United States to have care. We have somebody there that can help us navigate care. And here's a scenario. Amy and I were talking about this before we
why would we want this?
Why would we want this? And so I assume, because I have a pre-existing condition with my back, I had spinal surgery several years ago, and that if I needed to have my back taken care of, I wouldn't want to, it's going to be excluded from whatever insurance that I have, unless we're on an ACA plan here in the United States, which would only cover us here in the United States. And I need to have care for my back, and I have insurance, I'm going to be paying for that out of pocket. And so we are well aware that medical care around the world is much more affordable than it is here in the States, and the quality of care can be equal. However, it's finding the doctors that are capable of again, that you trust to help you navigate the system where things are more affordable. That's what we're looking to do ahead of time before we have an issue. So just again, trying to put some forethought into these scenarios that might occur, especially considering we've had these recent crazy events with our health.
And the idea with insurance, what do you plan for the worst, hope for the best? So this is just planning for the worst. Certainly, we're hoping for the best. But yeah, this could be something to consider, and we're gonna suss that out. So maybe we'll try. Maybe we're going to be in Thailand, hopefully in maybe January. Start this in Bangkok.
Yeah, potentially.
See how it goes. And maybe it's a failure and we don't continue it. Maybe it's a great success.
This is a term I've used a lot recently. So this is about 10 or 20% baked. So this isn't something that it's like, it's not, we're dead set on doing this.
Healthcare hub, is that it?
It's healthcare hub is the idea. Yep.
Okay. So now someone asked, like, how did you find a good doctor? Because I found a surgeon who their practice found something that they did a more advanced general checkup, I guess, than any doctor had ever done before. And here was our trick. So I went into the ChooseFI. There's a couple tricks. I went into whenever we're stopping somewhere, we join the ChooseFI local community. And if things are normal, we're getting together and having friends there. So I asked local friends. I asked some viewers. I asked the ChooseFI local group. We had a house sit. I asked them, do you have any doctors that you absolutely love? And the homeowner on our house sit gave us their dermatologist. They said she's very popular. I love her. We loved her. So we both had an appointment, loved her. And I loved her so much. I said, we're brand new. I love you. Who are all of your doctors? Who do you go see? So we did follow-up appointments with her doctors. And we have an appointment with her dentist in September when we're back. And that is the appointment that I had that caught my issue, that it wasn't just like a doctor referral. It was, who does she use? And I thought that was really helpful.
Yeah, so I've said this before, and I'll say it probably many times again. Amy is a master networker. And so this is just taking advantage of this skill that she has, this networking skill. And so that's basically how we found all the doctors that we visited when we were in Texas. I think when we're abroad, we'll probably start in a similar sort of manner. We'll look in expat communities on Facebook and have conversations with people there. Maybe go to some Facebook meetup when we are in Bangkok and start asking people about the doctors that they see. And so we'll try that in terms of just using the networking skills that primarily Amy has to find us these great resources. I think that's how we'll go about it.
And early retirees, we love talking health stuff. We love it.
I don't know that I love it.
You
Seems
love
like
it. You love it. What are you talking about?
Okay.
You talk about it all the time.
We used to joke about older people, and that's all they ever want to talk about is healthcare and health insurance, and here we are, I guess.
We're the older people.
Older people, yeah.
Who knew? I guess we all know. We hope. Okay, so whatever. So, okay, now we're going to talk about the lessons that we have learned from this whole ordeal of this surgery. And they're the lessons that we have been talking about on our channel for 15 months. And there are two of them. Tim kind of actually touched upon both of them in the video, in the past several minutes of our video. Number one, the flexibility and adaptability is by far our number one asset when you take, aside from our health, of course, but what we can do better to make our life easier, better, is to be flexible and adaptable. And we are learning this lesson over and over and over in every kind of possible scenario. Be flexible, be adaptable.
Yeah, I think it's embracing that, not just being that way, but really taking that to heart. So I think that the more flexible we can be, the happier we're going to be with our scenarios as nomads.
Yeah, and here it is. We're in the middle, I guess the beginning of April. At the beginning of June, we have no idea where we're going. We've talked about Spain. Spain is still closed to U.S. tourists, so we don't know where we're going to be. We are going to be fully vaccinated, and the fact that it's 2 months out and we're so casual and we're not really losing stress, it's more exciting than anything of where could we be? We don't know.
Yeah,
We'll see. You'll see. We'll all see. Okay, the other lesson is, again, which is get out now, travel while we can, live our life every single day. Just get out.
Yep.
Not like stay home in case something bad happens, but something bad is probably going to happen at some point in our life. Get out and get happening while you can.
Yeah, so we have this thing now. It seems like every day we're talking about, are we living our best life today? And usually this is in the context of I'm picking up some poop in the yard or something like that. And maybe this isn't the best life. I don't know.
Not mine.
But so
dogs from dogs.
We are trying our best.
You gotta frame that up
to make sure that we are living our best life at all moments, or trying to. We're not always successful, as I'm sure most people aren't, but that's something we're trying to. And I think again, it's this embracing flexibility is delivering on the best life that we are seeking to have.
Now, the question for this week is for our international viewers. Number one, I'd like you to tell me what country you live in. And number two, how is the vaccination program going in your country? Are they still just doing 75 years old and up? Are they vaccinating everybody? Is it highly vaccinated? So tell me how this is going there, because we are really looking to go somewhere starting in, I guess, maybe July, like this summer. So we're ready to hit the road, and we are following all these things on Google to figure out what's open. Things are changing so quickly. Like it seems like day by day, week by week, things are changing fast. So 2+ months out, we could be a lot different. But I want to know, if you're in another country, how is the vaccination going for you? And if you are here, what's our question for US or just in general?
I don't know.
Have you ever had anything major medical happen on a vacation? How about that?
There you
How's
go.
That? So when you've been on a holiday, a business trip, away from home, maybe you're a nomad, so people on my personal Facebook and GoWithLess Facebook have put down all kinds of stories, nomads, that are the craziest stories. So it turns out that mine is like no big deal compared to some of theirs. So what I want to know in the comments below is whether you're international or not, have you had major medical stuff happen not at home, and what did you do, and did that affect how you traveled in the future? So that, I'm really interested in that one. I'm real excited about that. Okay, so now one last thing. If you are within, I'm going to say an hour from Washington, D.C., we want to meet you. So let me know. My email is amy@gowithless.com. We are actively meeting people. I have my calendar, our calendar, I guess. Tim just goes along, but we're actively meeting our viewers, and again, it's just going to be an hour or two, but we would really love to meet you. So please reach out and email, and we'll see you next Wednesday with our money video. It's going to be a scary one.
Scary.
Scary.
Adios.